When you visit a bookstore, you're surrounded by books. Children's books, works of literature, and some that just entertain. But basically, they look the same. Now there are 6 artists in Marin County that are challenging the idea of what a book is. Their works are part of an exhibit called Nature Books. Reporter Bettina Camriani explains.
In a little gallery along Highway 1 in Point Reyes, artists with a new vision of what a book is are taking part in a new exhibit called Nature Books. Inspiration can come from every direction. Novato artist Judith Selby came up with tobacco quipu after a trip to Lima, Peru. Circles like this were used for accounting and reckoning.
The people there would keep track of their crops or their animals, and they would tie the knots in these cords, and it would remind them of their transactions. In the similar spirit, I thought, well, first of all, I thought it was a beautiful form. I thought these were gorgeous, the way these cords were splayed out in these circular forms.
But what she's counting isn't quite so beautiful. It's cigarette butts.
When you look upon it for the first time and the way it's illuminated, you just go, oh, it's very beautiful. And then upon closer inspection, you see, oh, it's horrific. Oh, there's nasty, crusty cigarette butts. And I'm really interested in that play, that interface between being attracted towards something and then the repulsion. And so that the viewer would hopefully move forward and move back. And there would be this real dance with the piece.
Selby's quipu tells a story of the number of cigarette butts she collected on 30 consecutive days, from places like the beach to San Francisco's City Hall. Even though she collected them for just 10 minutes a day, there wasn't a day she didn't find them.
I decided that I would string the cigarette butts in groups of 10, and then between each grouping of 10, I put a pattern of beads or wires to denote the day of the week, so that it became then like a calendar record of my journey into this artistic process.
It's so much more than a traditional book because you can take in the story all at once or day by day.
I really do see this quipu piece as an expanded definition of a book because it tells a story. I also kept a journal every day. I wanted to record maybe some of the feelings that I had, observations that I made. I kept track of the moon phases of each day. I kept count of the quantity of butts I collected, any other kind of information that would feed in to this idea of journal and record keeping.
She also wrote letters to tobacco companies asking about the biodegradability of the filters. The responses are on display next to her book. Selby hopes her work will make a statement about the environment.
Don't just think that when you toss down a cigarette butt, it's gone forever. It's not. It's going to be in someone's visual field, so that maybe there would be a little more consciousness. I guess that's my hope, that consciousness might come into the way that people regard the environment, and that we view this earth as our home, and it's not some place that we just want to trash.
Marcia Red Adams is a photographer and sculptor from Fairfax. For her, it was a challenge to come up with a handheld book for the exhibit. Adams created a series of tablets or tiles that tell a visual story on each page.
First off, conceptually, it's very well suited to, again, the human relationship to the environment. So conceptually, there's no question, I think, about the context. In terms of it being a book, I think it pushes the boundary of what taking information in through that form, through book form, can be by handling it.
At first, she thought the idea of a book was restrictive because books typically have an ordering front to back. So Adams decided to push the envelope.
They're like a codis. In this way, they're tablets that you can go through, so the order can change. How you look and feel and relate to them can change. What's very different than what I usually make outside of the sculptural work is that you can handle it. So it's intended to handle. Although white gloves are helpful, keeps them clean, and which also changes the relationship to it. When you put on white gloves and handle work, it has a more precious kind of quality.
And on the face of each tablet is a photograph.
My concept was to have a field or a context that was clearly the environment, the natural environment. And then at the heart or core of that, to have a rather timeless, human-generated image, whether that be cultural, social, physical, like shelter, and you'll see as we look at the tiles, the center image is human created in relationship to the natural environment.
And on the back, a series of symbols she's been working with for a decade. They're an alternative to our written language, but parallel ancient symbols we all know. Artists in this exhibit are taking things we all know, like tulips, and reinventing them. This is a limited edition book by Dewey Crumpler. Each page shows an image of a tulip, and the book's title, Tulipism. Crumpler isn't the only artist to tackle the traditional book form and make it different. San Francisco artist Charles Hobson creates traditional books, but with several unexpected twists.
The audience that sees books lets their guard down a little bit. They think, oh, this isn't art, this is a book. So there's a capability of sometimes getting into their consciousness a little differently than they would with what would be traditionally called fine art.
This exhibit is a rare chance to see one of his books, which are narratives with illustrations and a little something extra. The two on display are each limited editions that are completely sold out. Each book took roughly a year to make. The first is called Shipwrecks, based on actual shipwrecks along the California coast.
The story that really caught my attention was the brother Jonathan, which sank off of Northern California in the mid-1860s. But a man who was a passenger on that ship, as the ship was sinking, sat down on the deck amidst the chaos of the storm and the rock having embedded itself in the ship's hull, a geyser of water coming up, and wrote a will in pencil so the water wouldn't wash away his handwriting.
Even while wearing two life preservers, the man died. Hobson takes this historical account, this human drama, and adds new elements, like what the man on the sinking ship would have written about if he had had more time. Hobson writes the story and draws the images. His other book is Andromeda Imagined. The book has star cutouts of the Andromeda constellations that you can shine a flashlight through to see.
The books, in a way of this sort, are a little like animals, and if you put them in the zoo, they lose a part of their spirit. So it's very important to see how that works. To have the book just standing still gives you an idea of what's possible, but it does deprive you of the real experience of looking through it, getting the insight.
And seeing what's inside is just what the Nature Book exhibit offers. The concept behind this exhibit is to expand the idea of what a book is. More than 12,000 people visit Gallery Route 1 every year, but more than 3 million people come here to visit the seashore. Gallery owners hope many more of them will see the nature contained in their newest exhibit. In Point Reyes, Bettina Camriani for the Marin Report.
For more information about Gallery Route 1, call 415-663-1347. The